we got to talk about Letitia James again because more information is coming out about Letitia and what she has going on behind the scenes when it comes to this indictment that was brought against her and the alleged mortgage fraud. Not only does she have that issue she's dealing with, insurance fraud she might be dealing with, tax fraud she might be dealing with. Now it's being said she's harboring a fugitive, and not one fugitive, but two fugitives. We talked about her grandniece on the last video when we talked about Letitia, but now it looks like there may be someone else involved as well. Y'all check it out. Let me know what you think in the chat.
There's a new twist in the mortgage fraud case against New York Attorney General Letitia James. Now, as you know, prosecutors accused James of lying on loan documents, claiming her Virginia home would be a second residence, but instead using it as an investment property.
Yeah, so now investigators say the person believed to actually live there is reportedly a fugitive in another state. Newsmax crime correspondent Jason Matera has the very latest on this developing story. Jason, what can you tell us?
Yeah, good morning, Mark and Charlotte. Well, you can't make this stuff up. So the person living in Tish James's Norfolk, Virginia residence is apparently her grandniece, a woman by the name of Letitia Thompson. And well, Ms. Thompson has quite the rap sheet. Back in 20.
Look at this: assault and battery, a class 2 misdemeanor. Okay, second degree trespassing, a class 3 misdemeanor.
2011, Nakia was arrested in North Carolina on assault and battery and second-degree trespassing charges. But according to court records, she skipped out on the terms of her probation. A spokesman for the North Carolina Department of Adult Corrections tells Newsmax that the 36-year-old is an absconder for willfully avoiding supervision by her probation or parole officer, adding that she faces arrest if found in North Carolina, which could trigger the activation of her suspended sentence, meaning that probation she violated could quickly turn into real jail time if she sets foot back in the state.
She better not set foot back in the state.
That's not her only running with the law. Thompson's criminal history crosses into Virginia as well, including charges for conspiracy to commit larceny, grand larceny, drugs, and possession of burglary tools. We spoke with the neighbor who says that he's lived next to Nakia Thompson for several years now at the Norfolk residence.
A police officer.
He told us he's never once seen Letitia James at that house. And that's the legal problem the New York Attorney General finds herself in today, since federal prosecutors allege James committed bank fraud and made false statements to a financial institution by calling the property in question a second home instead of an investment in order to secure a better loan rate. So, Mark Shaw, just to recap, you have New York's top law enforcement officer, by all indications, harboring a fugitive from another state in a home that the Justice Department says was purchased via mortgage fraud. So, like I said,
no one's above the law, Jason.
Not great.
No one's above the law.
Yeah, her words. All right. Thanks, Jason.
All right, so now Amy's going to give us some more insight into what possibly could be going down here. She posted this on X. If y'all don't follow her, again, make sure you follow Amy on X at IAMYLEIGH on X. That's at IAmyLee on X. What does she have to say here? This is getting wild. These are Letitia James's nieces living in her Virginia property and her so-called tenants, allegedly. One of them, Nakia, is a fugitive who reportedly fled North Carolina to dodge arrest warrants and then took up residence at Aunt Letitia's bank fraud home. She said it like that. Meanwhile, Letitia James has been aggressively targeting Trump with lawsuits and prosecutions, yet here she is, alleged to be harboring someone escaping justice that stinks of hypocrisy and abuse of power. Check this out. So we've got Nakia Monique Thompson. We just talked about her, and she was booked back in August of 2019. All right. What was she booked on? What were the charges? Burglary tools, possession. Okay. Larceny. Obviously, she broke into a car, I guess. Grand larceny, $200 or more. She contributed to delinquency, abuse of a child. Dang, what happened here? And she's got 3 counts on that one. And then she actually, it says she conspired to commit larceny greater than $200 from a person, it looks like. And then we've got Kayla Simone, is it Hairston? Hopefully I'm saying that right. And she was only 19 at the time. So she's 20 now. This was back in 2024. Yep. And it says she's staying there, allegedly. She's been charged with grand larceny, greater than $1,000 from a person, weapons, false statements. Goodness gracious. Attempted weapons and convicted felon, a violent convicted felon with the transport or possession of a firearm. I mean, I guess Letitia is the one to make it out because, boy, the family that she's surrounded by is interesting. Amy also says this: charges against Letitia James's niece, both of them, all right, and her grandniece, has an extensive criminal record spanning over 2 decades in North Carolina and Virginia. She is currently listed as an absconder by the North Carolina Department of Adult Correction due to probation violations. Her known convictions and charges include, and we went through these here: simple assault, assault and battery, assault against a government official. So 2 counts of that because she assaulted a police officer. Yeah. Theft and larceny, 3rd-degree larceny and grand larceny and petty larceny. Child-related crimes contributed to the delinquency of a minor or abuse of a child. What else do we have here? Trespassing, we just went through that. Drug or possession or disorderly possession of marijuana, disorderly conduct. And then traffic, she has driving with a suspended license resulting in arrest, malicious conduct while incarcerated, speeding 80 miles per hour in a 55 per hour zone. And then, of course, we got the most important part, the probation violation. Willful avoidance of probation supervision, aka absconding. But there's more. We've got more information on these fine folks here stayed up, held up in Letitia James's home. Check this out. Amy says New York Attorney General Letitia James, already under federal indictment for bank fraud, is now accused of housing her fugitive grandniece, Nakia Thompson, inside her Virginia home. Thompson has been living in James's Norfolk, Virginia property since 2020. So we found this out the other day. She bought the home right away. She being Letitia James. Letitia James bought the home right away. As soon as she did, Miss Thompson moved in, according to the record, along with her 3 children without paying rent, it says. Court documents show that this is the same house at the center of Letitia James' indictment. She signed mortgage papers declaring it would be a second home used exclusively by her, not as a rental or shared residence. For years, Thompson lived in the house as her permanent address. Prosecutors say James' statement to the bank was false and allowed her to secure more favorable mortgage rate. Thompson is not some distant relative or victim of circumstance. She is a 36-year-old repeat offender with a long record of criminal activity. North Carolina authorities officially list her as an absconder after she violated probation for assault and trespassing charges. She has been arrested multiple times, including twice for assaulting police officers. Her criminal history includes burglary, grand larceny, we saw, possession of burglarized tools, and child endangerment related to traffic offenses. She once pled guilty to both petty and grand larceny, received probation, and then failed to complete it. Because her charges were misdemeanors, North Carolina cannot extradite her from Virginia. That means she has effectively been hiding in plain sight under the roof of one of the most powerful prosecutors in America. That's so true, and a great point by Amy. She says this is the same prosecutor that has built her entire career on calling herself a watchdog for justice. She claimed to fight corruption, hold the powerful accountable, and protect the rule of law. I mean, this is hypocrisy 101. You're going to tell me she didn't know that they had all these legal issues? You're going to tell me the attorney general is that incompetent? You don't do a background check on your own people, and then you knowingly have them come stay at your place, which you illegally acquired? I mean, dang, man. Yet, according to prosecutors, she broke the law for personal gain and protected a convicted criminal in her own family. It's not a political issue. It's a moral one. Ordinary Americans who falsify mortgage documents or harbor a wanted fugitive go to prison. They do not get primetime interviews or glowing press coverage. But the same rules rarely apply to those in power. The facts are clear. The Norfolk home was supposed to be a personal second residence, not a refuge for a wanted relative, right? And then there's more that's happening here as well, because Letitia James, her job could be in jeopardy, not only because of this indictment, but because there is someone who is trying to run against her in the upcoming election. Michael Henry is her new opponent, and he had some things to say about what's going on with Letitia James. We're going to hear it here in a second. But this is breaking news. Michael Henry is stepping up to challenge Letitia James in the 2026 race for New York Attorney General. A true politician, a true political outsider, Henry is running to restore the integrity to the office, focusing on fighting crime, rooting out corruption, and easing the crushing cost of living. He is not in it for politics. He is in it to serve the citizens of New York City. Well, we tried to do that here in Fulton County and it didn't work out so well. So I don't know. Check this out. See what he has to say.
New York City Republicans throwing their full support behind Michael Henry as he challenges Letitia James to be the next Attorney General. Michael Henry joins me now, sitting right next to me. Here he is. Michael, is Letitia James vulnerable because she's being indicted, or is she gaining ground because she's so vigorously anti-Trump? Which is it?
No, she's vulnerable. I mean, look, in 2022 when we ran, we received 46% of the vote, and the climate of the state has changed. Upstate, there's been a lot of economic decay. They fired 3,000 correctional officers. Nobody even knew the term trade de agua in 2022, so you had the migrant crisis on top of all this. And I think what's happened here with Letitia James is she's somebody that's gone around just in 2022 alone, she went after the President of the United States, she went after Andrew Cuomo, and she went after Nikki Haley in the same election cycle. So she's somebody that's literally run around punching people in the face, and someone's finally gone back after her, and she thought she was going to be able to play this victim card. And what we're seeing is people are saying, you know what, she's been doing this for 30 years in politics, and it's just basically her having to deal with what she's done with everybody else.
If you're elected, can you reestablish the decent reputation of New York's judiciary? Because I think it's been slammed by Letitia James.
In the state, most of the judges at the Supreme Court level obviously run for office. When it comes to the appellate courts, that goes through the governor's office. But what I can do is make this a professional office, because there's over 700 attorneys now. It used to be 650, and bureau chiefs and deputy bureau chiefs throughout the regional offices in this state. And what I have the discretion to do as the Attorney General is to remove those individuals that are not, to me, this office is simple. You're the people's attorney. You're not the Democrat Party's Democrat National Committee's enforcer. And what you do is you put bureau chiefs and deputy bureau chiefs in to oversee industries that they understand. You work in conjunction with local and federal law enforcement, and you make sure that people check their politics at the door and they follow the rule of law. And in my administration, we're going to have a competency test. And if you can't work in this office, streamline it and make it efficient, you're not going to have a position in this office.
Competency test.
Correct.
Not a political test.
No, a competency test. Because
Okay.
Letitia James wakes up every day focused on three things: weaponizing the office against political opponents, attacking the President of the United States, and ignoring the issues that matter most to hardworking families in this state. And my administration is going to be a professional administration where we work in the best interest of the people of the state of New York.
President Trump says, look, he's not going to fund New York City if Mandami wins. He doesn't like his communist policies. If he withdraws finance from New York, they don't get a bailout. That's bad news for New York City.
Absolutely.
Can you do anything about it?
Well, what we would do, obviously, with a Republican governor, Republican AG, is obviously have a line of communication with the White House. And I think that's the key here, because we see right now, and look, forget about the fact that this kid's a communist and an anti-Semite. He's 33 years old, never had a real job.
Dang.
So when there's a blizzard and he has to get the sanitation trucks out, there's civil unrest, there's a structural collapse, the subway's flooded because of a hurricane. Does anybody think a practice smile and a word salad is going to be able to run this city efficiently? We don't even know who his deputy mayors are going to be.
Dang, he's taking shots at everybody. All right. He's talking about the future mayor, possible mayor. We'll have to wait and see. I tend to think that even with this news coming out, Letitia James isn't going anywhere. It's the same thing here with Fulton County. I think it'll be the same thing with the AG there in New York. I'll be surprised if she's held accountable in any way. But we'll just have to wait and see what happens with this indictment. How quickly is it going to move forward? Let me know what y'all think about this in the comments and in the chat.